Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. So in today's video, we got both the Can-Am and the Honda out. Finally got the Can-Am working again. It ended up being a loose wire on the opposite end of the battery. But once I got that hooked back up, it started up just fine, no problem. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do kind of a comparison, quality comparison, likes and dislikes, whatever you have you, of both the Honda and the Can-Am. Now I know what you're thinking. You're going for that dislike button, I know it. I see you. But before you do that, just hear me out. This isn't going to be a video about just bashing the Can-Am, praising the Honda, or vice versa. We're not going to do that. No. This is going to be what I feel about both these machines. Both of them have their ups, both of them have their downs. And that's what we're here to talk about. So let's start with the Can-Am because I've had it longer. So the Can-Am is pretty interesting. So I think it's a good all-around vehicle. Now we're talking about the 570 LXMR. We're not talking about the 450. And we're just going to go through kind of some of the likes and dislikes about both of them. So likes about the Can-Am. The suspension is definitely a little bit firmer on the Can-Am, and I think that's because the Can-Am is just heavier all around. The power is definitely a difference. Now I know I commented on or replied to a comment on the channel recently about how the Honda would be able to pull the Can-Am backwards, and it more than likely would be able to. The only thing the Can-Am would have on the Honda is weight, and that's about it. But the Honda does have a little bit more torque in terms of its actual gearing, but we'll talk about that in a second. The seat on the Can-Am is definitely better than what it is on the Honda. The Honda isn't bad. Like, the Honda's actually got a much better seat than I thought it would. But the Can-Am just feels a little bit better. Now, I am about 161 centimeters tall, which is about 5'2" roughly. I'm very, very short. So having this narrow seat is definitely a big thing. And both these machines do pretty good about that. The Can-Am is a little bit better in terms of seating position, and the handlebars are up higher. So it feels like I'm riding more of like a Harley, whereas the Honda, I feel like I'm riding like a sport bike, which is really, really interesting. So for seating position and stuff, I'd have to go with the Can-Am. There's not really any doubt about that. I mean, the belt does kind of get in the way in terms of leg room, but the the Can-Am definitely has it in terms on just flat out seating position. Next, we have obviously just the way that the Can-Am is built. Obviously, it's like, bumper scratch and stuff. Just ignore that. It's fine. Having the rat up top is obviously really nice. I've heard that you don't have to really do it too much with the Hondas, which I can believe. Snorkel system works great for the most part. The tachometer definitely has a lot more information than what's on the Honda. Now, obviously, I have the dual tach swap, so of course it's going to have more information. But my big thing is kind of like it has this one in particular, obviously, and I'm going by the way that they're built, not on what they could be, but how they sit. I like being able to see my clocks and stuff all at the same time. Not really a fan about this on the Honda, honest to God. I really wish that they had an option of some sort to where you could see everything at once. So, because you have, your fuel light, you'd have to kind of punch through some of these buttons to be able to get to the clock, which, though it isn't that big of a deal, it bothers me a little bit. Also, don't mind it being spotty. I went to wash it and didn't dry it off, and it all kind of spotted on it, but it'll be okay. It'll all come off on the next ride, so no big deal. But anyway, so not really a fan about that on the Honda. And then I love the trailing arm suspension on the Can-Am. It works very, very well. This goes back to kind of the suspension thing I was talking about. But the tires ride back, like they push back. So you could probably maybe squeeze about a 29-inch tire on here. I know these are 28s, so I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of the maintenance. I know a lot of people are probably going to hate on me for this, but I haven't worked on the Honda yet, but I can tell you right now, just the winch by itself is 9 times easier to do on the Can-Am than it is on the Honda. I don't have it on the Honda yet, but I know the front bumper and stuff's got to come off and everything like that. On the Can-Am, you don't have to take the bumper off. It's just slide the winch right in there. It's already got a mounting plate and everything like that. Done. It's not really that complicated. And then the fuel injection. The Can-Am starts in the cold much better than the Honda does. The Honda doesn't really start in the cold as well as I thought it would. It still starts with no problem, but the Can-Am starts much faster. And I think that's about it. Now, the downsides of the Can-Am are pretty clear. This is what, if you've seen my other Can-Am review videos, you're going to recognize some of these. Front shocks are terrible. This goes with all Outlander L models. I don't care if you had the L 450 or the 570, it doesn't matter. They all suck. They're all terrible. Not good whatsoever. Easy to blow out. They bottom on everything, and they're just junk, really. If you're replacing with Fox shocks, I think this would be one of the best ATVs Can-Am would sell. And it surprises me that they don't sell with at least that option. But then again, it gives people a reason to buy the Renegade 570, so understandable. The brakes, if you've ridden Can-Am before, you should probably recognize this. The brakes are definitely not that good. They stop the machine pretty good, but the problem is the fact that the pads just wear down so fast, and the brass brakes are the only ones that I found that actually survive. And another thing I hate is the fact that I have no brake caliper on this side, and I don't understand. Again, I do not understand. And they're doing this with the Renegades too, which is really just interesting to me, because I know Can-Am just wants to cut corners, and it's just like, come on. You know, that gives people a reason to buy the Renegade. But overall, the Can-Am's not too bad. It does pretty good for what it is, and it's also very easy to upgrade, at least in my opinion. Oh, one other thing I almost forgot. Nice big storage. I love this. This is one of the reasons I bought this over the Outlander, like no joke. Now it's a little bit muddy in here, and the reason why is because, you know, I keep putting my gloves and the tow rope and stuff in here. So, but I've had some experiences with this, and I believe this is waterproof. A lot of people say it's not, but I think this is waterproof. I mean, if you drown it for like a long period of time, then yeah, I think water may get in, but I never really had that many issues in terms of water. So, all right, so now we'll move on to the Honda. So let's start off with the likes. I like the way the Honda puts the power to the ground. Though the Honda has less horsepower than the Can-Am does, the Honda delivers it much better. And that's because it obviously has no belts, basically nothing. You know, it's all, you know, gear-to-gear shaft driven. So it's got that going for it. I like the finish on the Honda racks a lot better than the Can-Am. I'm not a fan of this link system. I don't really like this. I think it makes it look kind of ugly. Of course, this is just my opinion, but you know. Next, I like the fact that this is a manual. I like 5 gears. I've always just been a big fan of that. You got to remember, I'm reviewing what they are, not what they could be. Third, the 4-wheel drive system. Now, I went back and forth about this, thought about it for a while, and I came to the realization that I like this much better than Can-Am. So, all you do is push 4-wheel drive switch in, you're in limited slip 4-wheel drive, and when you need a locking front differential, bam, just like that. Now, unlike a lot of other people who ride Can-Ams slower and have a lot of issues, I'm not like pointing fingers or anything, trying to make fun of nobody, but I know Mud Puppy was talking about this. For technical riding, the Can-Am sucks. It really does, and the Honda is much better because of that. That's one of the primary reasons. The Can-Am isn't the worst with technical riding. This low range is really, really nice and has a lot of bottom end torque, but by the end of the day, it just doesn't have it in terms of the compared to the Honda. One other thing about the Honda is the Honda stock. In the Can-Am stock, the Honda does in fact have more ground clearance. Now, as they sit right now, it doesn't, of course, because you know the Can-Am's got 2-inch lift, and on top of that, it's got 28-inch tires. Whereas the Honda has no lift, 25-inch tires. But like stock, that machine has, I think it was 10 inches of ground clearance when I measured. It says 10.5, but it's really not. It's actually 10 inches. The Honda had almost 11 inches of ground clearance. I think it was like right at the 11-inch mark when I measured it, which is pretty good. Third, I like the solid feeling of the Honda. Now this might go back to the way it drives, but it feels a lot more solid going down the trail, if that makes any sense. If you've ridden a Honda and ridden a Can-Am, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. 4, I like the suspension all the way around. Now the Can-Am's trailing arm suspension definitely takes hits better than the Honda does, but the Honda has a better suspension system all the way around, because the front shocks actually work well with the back shocks, and it's not just the back shocks being good, because that's the thing about the Can-Am is the Can-Am's got really crappy front shocks, but the back shocks are actually really good. So, and I think the last thing, we all saw this coming, is reliability. So let's talk about this for just a second. Again, before you smack that dislike button, just hear me out. If you take care of your machines, they'll last forever. They really will. If you use them the way they're intended to be used, they will last forever. But that's kind of where the story ends. If I want to throw 28-inch tires on the Honda, throw 28-inch tires on the Can-Am, bone stock on both of them, the Honda's going to turn it with no problem. It just will. Because of how it's geared and how it puts the power to the ground. The Can-Am's belt just won't last. That's the reason why it doesn't come with full 28-inch tires. A lot of people are going to say that, oh, well, the Mega Mayhems that I came with, it says 28-inch tire on, so it's got to be a 28-inch tire, right? Measure it. I promise you, it is not a 28-inch tire. It is not. It is a 26.5 when you first buy it. Because when I put these tires side by side with the Mega Mayhems, these were much taller. And even though my Mega Mayhems were worn off a little bit, they were not worn off enough to warrant that big of a change. And that's just the issue. Can-Am knows that this bike, bone stock, cannot turn 28-inch tires for a long period of time stock. Now, people can say it'll turn it right off the bat, and you know what? It will. It will turn it right off the bat, but you will burn your belt super quickly, and they know they're going to have problems. That's just a fact. I'm just saying, you know. Now, was the Honda designed to do it either? No. But the Honda's going to last a lot longer doing it. And that's just one of the things about the Honda. Another thing is the Honda has a low center of gravity. Much lower than the Can-Am. The Can-Am does feel very much top-heavy. These tires help it out a lot because it makes it just a little bit wider. But the Honda just feels a lot more stable. It doesn't feel like it's going to tip over nearly as much. So... And then, as for overall trail riding, obviously the Honda's going to take this one as well, because, I mean, it was just designed to do it, whereas the Can-Am wasn't. The Can-Am was designed more for mud, and that said, it does do a lot better in the mud, at least the way it sits right now. If I upgrade the Honda, that may change, but probably not by much. This gets me into my last thing as well. The Honda is indeed slow. It's not quick. Now, I had a comment as well, don't remember who it was from, saying that, 31 horsepower is not enough, and then 48 miles an hour isn't enough. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you, and it's exactly, I'm basically going to reiterate my words from what I replied. If you are going 48 miles an hour down the trail, I do not want to ride with you, I don't want to see you, because let me just say, that is a good way to get people killed. You don't have to go fast to have fun. That doesn't mean the Can-Am's bad. Doesn't mean it's bad at all. When I went through the bounty hole, I think the Can-Am would have gotten further than the Honda did if the Honda was built the same way. Because the Can-Am has speed, which is something the Honda just doesn't have. So the Can-Am is definitely more fun in terms, in those respective terms. But the Honda is just much better for technical riding. So, if I had to pick between the two and I had to sell one, what would I do? Honestly, it's a really, really tough choice because I love both these bikes and I love riding fast. I love riding slow. I love all kinds of riding. I love riding in the mud. I love riding in the hills. Just depends on how the bike's built. I would probably go with the Honda, not just because of reliability, but just because it kind of feels better almost all the way around. But the Can-Am is so close. It really is. But the main point of this video is, like I said, just how I feel about both of these bikes. I know I've only been on one ride with the Honda, but I've had a Honda before, and it feels Pretty identical in terms of how they ride. This one obviously rides much better because, you know, it's a lot newer and stuff and been updated and everything. But the Can-Am is definitely not bad by any means. I enjoy the Can-Am a lot. I ride it a lot. It feels a lot more comfortable to ride than than the Honda. It just has a much better seating position. Like, it feels like I'm sitting, you know, in the bike. And that is a big factor, because that is one of the primary reasons why I don't buy Polaris. Because Polaris, though, are really solid machines and honestly a lot more stable. And here's kind of a shot of the seating position so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But the seating position on Polarises are just not for me. I'm way too short to ride them. They just feel way too wide, which is the problem. With the same problem I have with like Harleys. Even though I compared the Can-Am to a Harley, because I sit in like a Harley, but when my legs are like spread like, you know, like out like this when I'm trying to ride, I mean, it just feels really uncomfortable. So, and the Can-Am, I don't get that feeling, and the Honda, I don't get that feeling. But the Honda definitely feels like I'm stretched a lot more forward, like I'm reaching for the bars. Whereas for the Can-Am, I feel like I'm riding back, you know. And I like that feeling much better on the Can-Am than I do on the Honda. And the Can-Am feels much better to ride standing up than the Honda does. Now, the Honda also has better footboards than the Can-Am does, in my opinion. I like the raised foot pegs. I like how this is raised and the mud can drop underneath. And the mud just filters through this so much better than what it does in the Can-Am. The Can-Am does not filter at all, really. You can see there's rocks stuck in there. This is horrible. Like, they do not filter whatsoever. Now, they do buy an accessory foot pegs that you can put on there. I'm sure they're a lot better, but bone stock, I mean, that's just not great. So what do I feel about these machines overall? I feel like they're both really good machines. I really do. And I'm not just saying this just to, you know, catch the eye of the viewer, you know, because this is my channel. I'll upload whatever I want, say whatever I want, because I'm not sponsored by either of these two. I bought them outright. So, that said, I think, you know, that they're both really solid machines. And they both do really good for what they were built for, you know. And I feel like if you were to buy either one of these machines and use it the way it's intended to be used and take care of it, it'll last you forever. I really do. Because this Can-Am has definitely done a lot better than the last one. And I kind of want to touch on that a little bit as well. The 450 Can-Am, I'm not a fan of that one. I really don't like that machine. I don't see any reasonable... Like, to me, I see no logical reason to buy it. I really don't. Because this one's so much better. I mean, you have the 570 V20. I mean, it's just much stronger, just much more noticeable difference. Changing the oil, real easy. You have your fuel cap right there, and then you have the oil filters right in here somewhere. All you gotta do is take this off, and this panel under here, take this off. That's it. It's really not that hard. It's very, very straightforward and easy. Whereas on the 450, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember where the oil filter's at. I think it's up in here. It might be on the other side, but I think it's up in here if I remember correctly. But I do know that the fill cap is right in here, and it's guarded by this. And you have to either take the entire floorboard off, or you could do what I do and then just cut a hole right in here. So oh, that's right. That's where the oil filter. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. That's where the oil filter's at. You'd have to like cut a hole right here to be able to pull your oil filter out, and that's just a stupid design. That's just really dumb. And anybody who's taken those floorboards off and left the plastics on knows that that is very difficult to do. It's very hard. Even on a brand new machine, it's still hard because you gotta like pull it like out, and it's really stupid. So yeah, that's kind of like my little comparison video between the Honda and the Can-Am. Like I said, I really enjoy both of these machines. They both serve good purposes for what they are and what they were designed for. And I'm hoping to hold on to them for a good while. The Can-Am may not make it too much longer. I may end up selling the Can-Am eventually, but if I do, I'm going to end up buying another Can-Am. So, but yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching the video. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later. Oh, I just wanted to add this to the video as well. One thing I don't like about the Honda, I almost forgot about this. This brake placement right here in the center of the shaft is stupid. This was a dumb idea. I don't know why they couldn't just put it at the corners, because that's a pain in the ass to change. So, shame on you, Honda.